coming the 2 years after, where even if he doesn't work again, he's going to be theoretically part of the organization. A lot of times you're kind of like get away, like Hitch.
They really don't want to see it around.
Like Hitch didn't do a lot helping Jim Montgomery. He was essentially Jim Nill's special assistant.
Right. All right, let's get to the Spurgeon, Dumba, Suter, Brodeen foursome and how that's going to play out. Let's quickly thank Fixologyrepair.com. John Hedges, our friend who comes out to the live shows, he has partnered with Seiko. He has doubled his Seiko inventory. He has a full assortment of Pulsar watches. And he right now has Kenneth Cole and Guess watches are marked down for the holidays on sale. Third floor of the Mall of America by Nordstrom's and downtown in the Skyway just south of the Wells Fargo Center. Fixologyrepair.com.
There are some things in life that you just can't live without. Now, whether it's a special piece of jewelry, a watch, or even your smartphone, you want it in working condition. At Fixology Repair, we are committed to restoring your pieces so that everything works or fits the way it ought to. Watch servicing, chain repair, and broken screen replacements are just a few of the services that we offer at our 2 locations, Mall of America and the Skyway in downtown Minneapolis. Please visit us at Fixologyrepair.com or at FixologyMN on Twitter to learn more. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount on our services.
All right, what's going on with the D pairings right now?
Well, Sunday night, Dumba was terrible from start to finish in that game. And he really never recovered. Even when the team started to recover, he didn't recover his game. Although late in the game, they're down a goal. He's pressing. He's leading the forecheck. Turns the puck over. But, in that situation, I think Bruce wants him to be active in that situation. But regardless, I asked Bruce after the game, about Dumba Suter because they've had a couple tough games in a row. And he goes, we're going to have to reevaluate that. So I wrote my entire gamer basically predicting that we'd come to practice today and see for the first time this season Spurgeon reunited with Suter and Brodeen reunited with Dumba, last year's pairings. And my question in the story was, is it worth it at the expense of one of the best shutdown lines in the NHL this season, Brodeen Spurgeon? Well, come to practice today, and he did, to essentially protect Dumba, to try to get Dumba back into a settled role, and probably make Suter a little happy. He's broken up the pair at the potential effect of now he doesn't have Brodeen and Spurgeon to throw out there every night against the top forwards of the other team. So the question is it worth it? Bruce wasn't convincing today, I would say, which makes you think that this was just to make Suter essentially happy because I think Dumba was going to make him jump off a building at some point. And that's just total conjecture.
That's the great thing about Suter. Suter got his consulting job before he retired.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying it, but it is hard. I just wrote this story about Paul Martin retiring last week, and Brett Hedican was really. If you didn't read that story, give it a read because give that story a read and read Brett Hedican's quotes as Brent Burns, Matt Dumba, and why Paul Martin was the perfect template of a defense partner for Brent Burns when he won the Norris. Now, but consider everything that Brett Hedican is saying. Consider it as Paul Martin. And what Brett was saying is that it is a freaking nightmare sometimes to play with an unpredictable defenseman who's going to stray on your side and be absolutely just a wild stallion out there. And the reason why Paul Martin was perfect is that he was poised, one, but two, he didn't complain. He just kind of calmed Brent down to the point that then eventually he'd get back on his side and start playing normal hockey and blah, 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 blah. And Suter was fine. They've been a good defense pair all year, and I think Dumba's had a good year. But lately, I think sometimes when Dumba starts scoring goals and creating offense, he gets a little crazy out there. He wants to do it all the time. And he doesn't remember that first things first, defense. And like that play on Saad the other day, yes, he was completely shocked by Saad's speed, but it started with him making kind of a reckless play in the neutral zone where he probably should have let the play come to him. And then it just was mayhem from there. So I just think that this is more to just let's get back to, trying to get Suter back on top of his game because you don't want Suter's game to fall apart, and get Dumba with Brodeen, who's playing great. They've played well together before. And as Bruce said today, the easy thing is that you could get this back to normal in 30 seconds. So I don't think this is a permanent change, but I think this is one of those things where it's like, all right, let's just make the change now, try to calm things down, make sure Suter doesn't freaking combust, and there you go,
I mean, it would be tragic if Suter had a fire Boudreaux in the middle of the season.
Yeah. But you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm just being a jerk.
Yeah. But and again, I'm not saying that this was something that, a lot of this is just conjecture here, but a lot of it's informed conjecture. I mean, again, Bruce Boudreaux has been going on and on and on for a month and a half about how this is exactly what he wanted. He wanted Dumba playing with Suter because he wanted to have this great shutdown pair because Brodin and Spurgeon could play so well together. And then analytically, advanced stats-wise, that last road trip, their numbers, as he said, in Anaheim are off the freaking charts. And what does he do? He breaks it up after one bad game in Chicago. I don't think it takes a freaking hockey expert to realize what's going on here. This isn't because, normally you would just give them another game. This isn't because he wanted to break up Brodin and Spurgeon. Let's be honest about that. And today in practice, it was all about calming Dumba down and blah, 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 blah. So, this is just clear what's going on here. And again, it's a temporary thing. These are things that happen in a season. And we'll see how long it lasts.
A lot of good Twitter questions. Let's get to them. First, let's thank Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent. He works out of Champlin, but he can work with you no matter where you are. We tend to use the app, call him, we email him. It's very easy to work with. He handles my insurance. He handles Michael's insurance. That's probably the best recommendation we can give. Hoaglund.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoagland. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
Zeke Boyett, do you think Mikko will retire at the end of the 1920 season when his contract is up?
I don't know. I my guess, it's total conjecture, but I don't think the Wild are going to want to re-sign him. So then the question is, does he want to go somewhere else? And is that worth it? I think that he timed this contract. I think the Wild, with their extension, timed this contract to end before a potential lockout. Would he sign one-year deals? Maybe. A lot of it depends on where Eriksson Ek and Cunnin are in their development and if they have drafted or acquired good centers by then. But it's total conjecture. I mean, right now, I still think he could play the game. I think he's had a good year. I loved his game in Chicago. Thought he was awful against Buffalo. But before that, I thought he was great. I mean, the game in L.A. was as good as he's played in a long time, too. So I still think he could play the game, and I do think that when I look at the Wild, they don't have anybody that can do what he could do. But in 2 years, it's a long time from now. My guess is the Wild will want to move on, and then he'll have to make a decision, if that's the case, on whether or not he wants to be one of the rare NHL players that can begin and end his career in one team and be kind of famous for that, or go chase one-year deals when you've made all the money in the world. My guess is that he retires. He's going to have a young family. He's just building this incredible compound in Finland on an island. Go enjoy your life.
That sounds pretty good. From Andy Marshall, good question here. Regarding today's coaching changes, do you ever see the league emulating the recent trend in baseball and hiring younger, less experienced coaches? What about the NHL makes it so inclined to recycle? Good question.
Well, I do think that they're going to want to go young coaches, but I think they're going to want to be guys that have, played the game, not so much the Jeremy Colletons at a low level or not at a real high level. I think more like the Brindamore types and things like that. I do think that they want to get out of the recycling habits, but then sometimes, especially in these interim cases, it's easy to go with somebody that can go in there for a year and just kind of fix things, like maybe allegedly a Hitchcock can. But I don't think it'll ever get like baseball, where I don't want to. And you might totally disagree with me, but to me, there's only so much you could do as a baseball manager. These guys still have to go up.
I agree. I think baseball managers have so much less influence on winning, losing than the public.
Like I don't want to be like me as a baseball fan. I think I could manage. Like maybe I'm wrong. I just said that how every fan thinks they could do better than Bruce or blah blah blah. But like to me, it's not that tough. You hit and run. Hey, move over here in the outfield.
Well, the interesting thing about baseball is it's really, I
know when a pitcher needs to come out.
Pretty much anybody can make the decisions, the daily baseball-y decisions. The difficult part about the manager is managing the emotions of 25 different people.
Yeah.
For
a long time. Yeah.
That's the difficult part.
And that's everything in all sports.
Right.
Can you imagine football? Holy hell.
Well, football, though, you have 85 assistant coaches. Every player has his own assistant coach.
Yeah. How about Hugh Jackson? Hugh Jackson couldn't even manage his own coaching staff.
Yeah, he's just a bad coach. Yeah. Sometimes people do make it to these heights, and then you realize, oh my God, that person.
I was just reading this great story. I don't know where it was, if it was on The Athletic or something, but about how Todd Haley was walking in to Dorsey's office, expecting to be named the interim coach, and he's like, "Yep, you're fired."
Yep.
And he's like, "What?" And he'd just gotten there.
Yep. Cleveland Browns. Aaron Berger, good question here. Is there a reason for the lack of franchise goalies in the league? The mid-late 90s seemed to have an excess of them. Was it born of the style of hockey played then?
Well, I don't know about that. I think that I do think that this league does lack stud goalies right now. But I think that's more the type of game that's being played. It is so hard to stay healthy if you're a goalie right now. I mean, you're seeing them drop like flies throughout the NHL. And then the other thing is it's just such a wild card. That's why teams don't want to take goalies in the first round, because you can't predict. It's such a mental position. There's so much stress being alone on an island, and you can't predict. You can't scout how mentally strong most goalies are. And so that's why you see guys come out of nowhere from 5th, 6th, 7th, rounds to be studs in the league, and that's why you see first rounders flounder. I mean, let's be honest. Other than Carey Price and Devin Dubnyk, there aren't a lot of first round goalies that succeeded in the NHL in the last several years, and that's why a lot of teams don't want to waste. As a scout actually recently told me, he goes, 2 things you don't want to waste is going to piss off some people. I'll probably be botted to hell after this comment, but there are 2 things you don't want to take a first-round pick on, and that's a goalie and a Russian. So that's what the scout told me.
Wow.
But the point of his thing was this Kaprizov thing.
Right.
That was what we were talking about. It said, this is why you don't want to take it. You just don't know. There aren't a lot of, I mean, even look at Washington. Kuznetsov's become an absolute star, and this is what the Wild hope happens with Kaprizov. But it took a while to get Kuznetsov over here.
Absolutely. From Jamie,
not as long as Kaprizov, but it took a while.
From Jamie McCarthy, why do the Wild seem to always take the first period off?
Actually, that hasn't been a lot lately. I think it happened the other night in Chicago, but for the most part, they've actually been really good in the first period the last several weeks. That early season storyline of slow starts really departed, pretty much on that road trip.
From Russo Slacks.
Hey.
Is it possible that Cullen has played his last NHL game?
I hope not.
Most really fancy radio shows, they build in out this entire soundboard where the producer can hit a button and you get this certain sound. I don't have to. I have to just mention Russo Slacks.
Yeah. I
get a sound. Is it possible that Cullen's played his last NHL game?
I don't like that Russo Slacks has gone from photoshopping to all of a sudden asking serious questions on a daily basis. This is getting too much. It's like 3 or 4 in a row.
Maybe somebody took over the bot.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe the bot became a human.
Yeah. I hope not. I don't know what his injury is. I'll be honest. I haven't texted with him. I haven't talked to him in a while, actually. But they say he's out long term with a lower body injury. My guess is I didn't see the play or what happened. He's had groin injuries and stuff in the past, but I will say, not knowing what the injury is, and say for like a catastrophic knee injury, Matt is somebody that's in tremendous shape and works his absolute rear end off the ice, that he's going to want to go out his own way and come back. And then the other thing is that the fact that they're calling a lower body injury makes you think that they're thinking that he's going to come back at some point, because they don't want to divulge what the injury was, where if all of a sudden he was going to miss, if he tore his ACL or something, and he was going to miss all year, there'd be no reason to not divulge what the injury is.
Right. From Eric Vigo, would you rather go to Austria with Mike Yeo or Joe